Hello, and welcome to Allegedly Astrology. Each week, we break down the astrology that happened during some of the biggest scandals and events in history.
Thanks so much to everyone for listening to our show. And if you want to support us, you can leave us a 5-star review and subscribe on whatever podcast platform you listen on.
And if you do leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and DM us a screenshot of your review, we'll make you a custom meme of your big three and send you a quick write-up about it.
We also have a very cool and exclusive Patreon. So if you want more awesome astrology content, join us at patreon.com/allegedlyastrology.
And make sure to follow us. We're Allegedly Astrology on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, and Allegedly Astro on Twitter. You could also visit our website to learn more about us, the show, book a reading with Dana, check out charts and transcripts for select episodes. And you can find that all at allegedlyastrology.com.
Okay, Dana, what are we discussing today?
Today we're discussing Sabrina Carptenter.
Yes. Sabrina Ann Lynn Carpenter, aka Sack, is an American singer, songwriter, and actress. She's 26 years old. She's put out 7 albums, has won a lot of industry awards like Grammys, Brit Awards, MTV Awards, and more. She headlined Lollapalooza. She's going to headline Coachella next year. So let's learn about her and her astrology.
So Sabrina comes from a family where she has 3 older sisters. She was also homeschooled. She is the niece of Nancy Cartwright, who voices Bart Simpson from The Simpsons famously.
Crazy.
That's so random.
I have a thing in here about Bart Simpson. That's so crazy. Okay, cool.
What?
Really?
You'll see.
So random. Around the age of 10, she began posting videos on YouTube of herself singing Christina Aguilera and Adele songs, and her dad could tell that she had a love and a talent for music, so he built her this little recording studio in their house because she was so into music. So what is her chart like?
Okay, so Sabrina was born on May 11th, 1999 in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and her birth time is not confirmed. We're using 8:52 a.m., but here's a little info about the birth time. She did an interview with Wired in a video in December 2021 where they asked for her birth time, the first question, and then she says that you and me both want to know, and then she says she thinks it's 8:52 a.m. And then in an interview with Nylon, which was published a few months later in February 2022, they ask her what her sign is and if she believes in astrology. And she says that she's a Taurus, which is true. And then she says that she thinks she's a Pisces rising, which is not, which is her moon sign. So it seems like that's maybe she was confused about what her real moon and rising sign are. So this is all to say that she has a Taurus sun, a Pisces moon, and a Cancer rising based on the 8:52 a.m. chart. And honestly, the astrology totally tracks. I believe it. So Taurus is a sign of the voice, and Sabrina Carpenter is an extraordinary singer, and the sun is her celebrity. And it's in the 11th house of audiences and friends, and she's known for performing in front of major audiences. And also, she's mother, right? She sort of had I feel like she had a cult following before she was big famous. And so that sort of, I think, also speaks to having a sun in the 11th as opposed to maybe a sun in the 10th. And her sun is ruled by Venus, which is in Cancer in her first house. And I love this because in the first house, this is like what's within your control. So her sun ruler being in her first house means that she has creative control. The sun has so much to do with creativity. And her sun is co-present with Mercury, Saturn, and her lot of fortune. So Mercury is the planet of communication. She feels comfortable expressing herself in front of an audience, and she knows what she wants to say. And Saturn indicates longevity, especially after a slow start compared to her peers, not, of course, compared to a civilian. And then the lot of fortune is related to fate outside of one's circumstances, and ancient astrologers considered it an alternative ascendant. So this means that she's living out her fate on a grand scale, and we're watching it happen in real time. And then her Pisces moon is sensitive, dreamy, creative, psychic, sweet, and also a lot more savvy than I think it gets credit for. I think Pisces is really good at sort of playing dumb, which I say that as a Gemini, who I think also is a good sign for that. They're just very sweet, but they are also extremely intelligent and in touch. And her moon is in her 9th house of gods and idols, and she has a very soulful voice. Did you guys see the clip of her singing the SZA song? She covered a SZA song on a keyboard. She just posted it. It's so good. SZA was like, oh my God, I didn't know she could sing like that. It's just on Instagram or something. And it was a while ago.
I love that.
It's beautiful though. So yeah, she's very soulful. She's, has a wide range, and singing also brings her closer to God, whatever her God may be. And her moon is ruled by Jupiter, which is in Aries in her 10th house of celebrity. And this reflects her mass appeal and why she's so brazen and energetic, because Aries are, brazen and energetic. And her Cancer rising means that she wants to take care of people and she wants to be taken care of. But she's also very business minded and able to make decisions that she wants to make. And she's able to stick to them and knows, like, what's a good career move instead of maybe just doing something for a dollar. So her Cancer rising is ruled by her moon in Pisces in the ninth house, which again calls back to singing and performing and being like religious or transcendent experience for her to be on stage. And also sort of like how her voice can channel the divine, which I personally believe to be true after watching this as a clip. And with her Venus in Cancer conjunct her ascendant, she's also very funny. Cancer does not get enough credit for being an extremely funny sign, but also why she's so cute. Venus is like, what's attractive, what want to look at, and also why her lyrics about men are so like so funny, and also how sometimes she just pisses people off. I think not because she's a woman, but like doing womanly things like triggers people. I think, and I think that's also not like necessarily like she's. I think part of it's intentional, which I respect. Some other notable things in her chart is that she has Mars retrograde in Libra in her fourth house, and Mars is the rarest retrograde that exists. So people with Mars in Libra are often unfairly held to a higher standard than others. That's sort of what comes with the territory of any planet in detriment or fall. And also in Libra, it's because like people feel like they can impose upon you. And the fact that her Mars retrograde in Libra is ruled by Venus in Cancer, and her lyrics are so smart and funny, and just like also sometimes like passive aggressive. I feel like that really speaks to sort of this placement and how she's able to so cleverly. I don't know. She's like not just a very good singer; she's also very funny and clever, and also to make like romantic songs that are, I don't know, also sort of like shit posting. I respect it. And then just some foreshadowing. It's important to know that Uranus stationed retrograde in her progress chart on October 3rd, 2009, which is the same month that she got third place in Miley Cyrus's singing contest.
So, speaking of Miley Cyrus's singing contest, Sabrina was one of 7,000 people to enter the contest, which is called the Next Miley Cyrus Project, hosted by none other than Miley Cyrus. And she came in third place, which is crazy. And then she starts acting and performing and starring in some Disney shows.
She gets her big break when she's cast in the Disney Channel series Girl Meets World, which is a spin-off of Boy Meets World, as Maya Hart. Maya is a character who's best friends with the star of the show, Riley Matthews, who, for any OG Boy Meets World fans, it's Corey and Topanga's child.
Wow.
Yes, Sabrina does the theme song for the show. So, what's going on when Girl Meets World debuts?
Girl Meets World debuted on June 27th, 2014, which was the day of a new moon in Cancer at 5 degrees, and it was conjunct her rising and her Venus sign. So, when astrologers have to make content, of course, and they say something like, these 3 signs are going to be changed tomorrow by tomorrow's new moon. Like, if you're one of these signs, your life will be changed tomorrow. This is an example of how that actually plays out and why we say it sometimes. Because a new moon was exactly on her Venus and her rising. And a new moon signals a new day, a new cycle of life. And Sabrina was in a 4th house Libra Venus year. So the 4th house has to do with home. Maybe she was moving, or maybe she had to like move away from her parents. And her Venus, again, which is her chart ruler or her time lord for the year, is in Cancer in her 1st house. And when your time lord is in your 1st house, that puts you into focus. Her solar return Venus was in Aries in her natal 10th house of fame and publicity. So we're working with the 2 houses that have to do with like her as a person, then her being a famous person. Also, her progressed Venus was conjunct her progressed ascendant in Cancer, which just sort of really highlights this sort of like her destiny coming to fruition, being highlighted in like multiple charts. And then her natal Mars, of course, is retrograde in Libra, and that's in her activated house. And Mars is also retrograde in Libra in her solar return that year. So this was activating the Mars retrograde cycle in her natal chart for the first time in her life. And we talk a lot about how, like, when someone has Mars retrograde in their natal chart, Mars retrograde periods will tend to be more significant for them. But it's especially so when it's in the same sign as their natal Mars. And that will also apply to people who have Venus retrograde. But like, this is not only a super rare Mars retrograde cycle, but the moon and the north node were in her solar return chart were also in Libra. And the moon in her solar return chart is like, it's where we're emotionally present that year. So this is sort of like everything that's changing for her. She's really keyed into the future with the north node. She's going outside of her comfort zone a little bit, sort of being thrown to the wolves maybe. But with Mars retrograde in Libra, it's sort of like also, it feels like this is, I mean, I don't know. I bet she just sort of felt like this was supposed to be happening. Or I feel like she just had a really mature approach to all of this. And when either the north node or the south node fall in your perfected sign in your solar return chart, that will be a reliably significant year. And this year, the transiting North Node was conjunct her natal Mars. So it's really tying it all together. Her natal Mars rules her 10th house. So that's very significant. And finally, her solar return, Jupiter in Cancer, was conjunct her natal lot of fame. And so Jupiter bestows gifts and rapid growth to whatever it touches. And it's literally conjunct the fame point in her chart and the year that she got like her first real taste of fame. So all of this is sort of like, it's just really interesting. This is an exciting episode to see astrologically. There's so many things that fall together.
I feel like we've talked about the progressed Venus
Oh,
in
yeah, I'm
other
sure.
famous people before. All right, so Sabrina signs with Disney's record label. She puts out a lot of albums for them, 4 albums in particular. She then signs with Universal Music Group and releases her 5th album. And this is where she kind of starts to become more adult, if you will. And Nonsense, the album's 5th single, went viral on TikTok due to Carpenter performing some newly improvised, sexually suggestive outros for the song on tour. And she also opened for Taylor Swift on the Eras Tour on a number of stops, which further propelled her fame and being besties with T Swift.
But she gained huge notoriety when she released her single Espresso. And Espresso topped the Billboard Global 200, peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, and went on to win the MTV Video Music Award for Song of the Year. So, because this was like her huge breakout moment.
It was a bop. I already have it stuck in
Actually-
my head just from you saying the word espresso.
I know. It is good. So, what was going on when it was released?
So Espresso was released on April 11th, 2024, which was just 3 days after a solar eclipse in Aries conjunct her natal 10th house Jupiter. So again, I'm thrilled.
Okay.
as an
Oh,
astrologer.
damn.
I know. She
La,
was in her
la,
first
la.
house Cancer moon year, and eclipses are like the closest thing that we get to accessing time travel outside of a few, articles I've read about. Allegedly, there's like a time traveling obsidian mirror in the Vatican, but I don't know if it's true or not. So I do know that eclipses feel like you can be in one place one week, and then your life can be like different the very next day, the very next week. And so that's sort of this. The moon was her time lord, and the eclipses conjunct her natal 10th house Jupiter make it that much more significant. Jupiter is the exaltation ruler of her moon, or of her rising in Cancer. So all of it is just sort of, it's all coming up roses. An eclipse in the 10th house brings sudden beginnings and sudden endings in career. It's about visibility. It's about it could be about decreased popularity, but it's just about publicity in general. And also more responsibility and what comes with it. So this eclipse was conjunct her Jupiter, which rules her Sagittarius 6th house of daily routine, maintenance, and illness, and her Pisces 9th house of idols, where she has her natal midheaven, which of course is the most public point in the chart, and then her natal moon, which is her time lord for the year. So it, again, is sort of seamless. And Neptune, which I think is it's the planet most related to celebrity in terms of like a stan, like if someone gets famous overnight, that's a Uranus thing. But like the way people like, idolize Marilyn Monroe, she had Neptune conjunct her ascendant in Leo. And so a Neptune transit can be like when people just sort of become like a fabric, like I guess, a little bit of a deity themselves. And so Neptune is conjunct her natal moon, which again was a time lord for her. So it's really, really like assimilating her into like the culture in a way where she's like being stand and also a household name instead of just like, I remember seeing a tweet probably 2 years ago that was like, do you think Sabrina Carpenter, it was before Espresso, will like ever be really famous? And someone was like, no. But looking at the astrology, it's like, well, we'll just like need it in an eclipse, I guess.
I mean, it is like hard to break through that Disney persona, I mean, we've seen a lot of people do, like, obviously there's Olivia Rodrigo, which, like, I forgot that isn't Driver's License about Sabrina Carpenter?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is.
like,
That's so
yeah.
weird.
When she's like, that girl's so much older than I am,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, no, that is.
That's so. How
Does
much
that, like-
older is
I
Sabrina
think
than
she's
Olivia?
like 4 years older.
Oh,
Which of course, I guess
Wait,
when
I
you're,
think
we're, like,
when you're
5 years
17 is
older.
huge.
My God.
But
yeah, I did not know that that's about her. But that's hilarious.
But yeah, so like Olivia Rodrigo, I feel like was another Disney, obviously like Miley Cyrus, Selena Gomez, but I feel like it's not as easy to break through as we think that it might be. So I feel like it is a big
I'm
deal
sure it's
to break through
it's like
from
a
that
big deal for
Disney.
themselves, right? Like to be like
Yeah.
seen as like this kid, and you have to. I mean, Selena Gomez sort of, it seems like she really they didn't love going from, like, being, like, a beloved child star to having people talk about, like, her body in the tabloids and stuff.
It's not great.
And, yeah, but I think she was sort of like a gay culture icon for a little bit, Sabrina. And so I think
Mm,
that they thought
that
maybe she
always
would
helps.
like, because you know how, like yeah, it helps, but also, like, Kim Petras, I guess, well, she's pretty big. I don't know, but sometimes, like, they're just, like, an artist who belongs to a subculture. So, like, they're successful from that, but never, like, maybe a total household name. I don't know. But anyway, she did it.
Yeah,
It
because
was an
I feel
eclipse.
like she's very I don't wanna say campy, but she
Oh,
is
for
so,
sure.
like, throwback, I don't know, late '70s, early '80s, like, pinup, like, she brought back the curtain bang, like, she wears a lot of, like, negligee type things a lot of the time.
Yes, she brought back, like, a more retro look.
I saw a
Yeah.
picture of her walking
Like,
around France dressed like a tiny, like, fashionable mime.
anything she does because she's so petite, it's just, like, she really toes the line between, like, cutesy and sexy, I think, in a good way.
Sure. Oh, I agree.
But sometimes, yeah, it depends.
Well, her being able to pull it off is in due part to having Venus on her ascendant. But then also one more notable thing about this chart is that her solar return ascendant was in Aries, which again is her 10th house, which is where the eclipse was. So it just really is very satisfying how this all came together. I have not seen like this is the most insane transit I've ever seen for a star so far, I think. You've heard it here first.
Wow. Born to be a star. Alright, well, we're gonna move on to her next album, which is Short and Sweet, which is literally everything we just described about her. So, perfect title. It debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200s, over 350,000 sold in its first week, and 2024 was a huge year for her. So, Dana, let's talk about her 2024 perfections and remind us what perfections are.
Okay, so perfections activate a single house in your chart for a whole year based on like every age. So when you're born, you're in a first house year. When you're one, you're in a second house year, and so on until you die. So her 2024 perfections on 2024 or on her birthday in 2024, she turned 25 and entered a second house Leo sun year. So her time lord is the sun. That makes the sun the most important planet in her chart for that year. Her natal sun's in Taurus, the sign of the voice, in her 11th house of fame and audiences. And planets conjunct the time lord in the solar return chart are significant. So this year she had Venus, Jupiter, and Uranus conjunct her sun. This is so cool. Venus is magnetism, it's art, it's money. Again, Venus is also so related to her, like her Bart Simpson outfit. You know, like how Bart Simpson wears the same thing every day. That's Venus for her. And Jupiter is popularity, it's expansion and congeniality. And Uranus is like it's overnight celebrity for Uranus conjunct the sun if we're talking about really good songs or you know how that could play out. But it's just like it's a really unpredictable and sudden occurrence. Also, her progressive Venus entered Leo in September 2024, which is just a month after her album came out. So Leo's a sign of the celebrity. This is her activated sign for the year. Venus is magnetism, it's money. And the second house is personal assets and finances. And so this all is coming together beautifully. She's making more money. She's really famous. Also, being famous, the second house can make you insecure. So she's having to maybe deal with it in a new way because she's been famous for a long time, but she hasn't probably been like almost Michael Jackson famous, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, then also in October, so a month after that, her progressed moon entered Pisces, which triggered the beginning of her first progressed lunar return. And the progressed moon is a focal point of your chart for about 2.5 years, and then it just moves around your chart. And so the first progressed lunar return happens in your late 20s, and it coincides with the nodal opposition, and they both are right before the preamble to the Saturn return. So it's not as limiting or maybe there's not as much pressure as the Saturn return, but it's like dramatic. It could be fun. It just really lays the groundwork for the Saturn return. And also she's really like coming into her own, especially because her natal rising is Cancer. So she's ruled by her moon. So this is really going to feel sort of like how like maybe a Capricorn or Aquarius rising feels, really gets to feel their first chart ruler return at like age 30. She's feeling this in like a new way. She's probably feeling more in her body than ever. So which is cool.
Let's talk about her dating life. She's been linked to several people throughout her career, including Bradley Steven, Joshua Bassett, who like driver's license, Olivia Rodrigo, that is the boy, allegedly, that it is about. And then also Shawn Mendes and Griffin Gluck. But her most recent and probably the most famous public relationship was with Barry Keoghan. Keegan, how do you say his name?
Keegan.
Keegan, aka from Saltburn, which lasted from late 2023 until a break in late 2024.
I honestly didn't know any of those people you named in the first part except for Shawn Mendes, so
Yeah,
those must be,
same.
like, really young
Yeah, I think
Gen
they're, like,
Z
Disney
boys,
boys.
Disney boys. But obviously I know who Barry Keoghan is. But the two reportedly met during Paris Fashion Week. Rumors about them dating started in late 2023, and then they made their red carpet debut at the Met Gala. And Keegan even started the music video for her song Please, 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 which is
Oh,
funny
really?
because that song is
Mhm.
about, like, don't prove me right, like, that I think you're a cheating, like,
Is that what he
man.
did?
And then I think that's what he did.
Well, he
My
also,
God,
like,
I'm so
left his,
insecure.
like, girlfriend and baby
Yes.
mama for
Yeah.
her
Yeah, so it's
I didn't
after
know
like,
he got
anything.
famous.
That's so fucked
apparently
up.
you don't.
I'm just doing the
I
astrology,
don't
you
know.
guys.
Dana just does the astrology. She doesn't do the celebrity gossip. But basically, after a year and on and off dating, they broke up. I feel like they like for only dating for a year, they went pretty like hot and heavy in the public eye
They were on the
Yeah.
very
red
quickly, which
carpets.
I
They were
think
in on
is
each other's Instagram
surprising.
feeds. There was
Right?
like torso shots on on his Instagram feed, right? Like a very close
I
torso
don't
shot of her in
know.
a negligee.
So anyway,
Um,
what's their synastry like, Dana?
Yeah, how
honestly,
is it
did you
that you
guys?
don't know anything about them, but, like, you know these, like, very specific, like, images, like,
Because
from
if I screw up
Yeah,
this one thing, I remember it. But if I don't see anything else, then it's just out of my purview.
Dana doesn't read
Um,
any text. She only remembers images, Sarah.
I'm gonna look it up. The
reading, I was reading like an article about a French girl that was doing a study on who has a similar problem. I
Oh,
mean, I don't
really?
have that problem. But anyway, yeah, it was interesting. So Barry was born on October 18th, 1992 in Summerhill, Dublin, which is in Ireland, and he has a Libra sun and a Cancer moon. So Sarah, maybe you should go after him because you have a Cancer moon and a
Oh,
Libra
no.
rising. Yeah, no,
Yeah, that's true. His face
um,
is too weird for me.
oh my God, I think he's such a good actor. But the first thing I ever saw him in was The Killing of a Sacred Deer, which I think is an excellent movie. But he like haunts me in that movie. The way he eats spaghetti is so disgusting. But I digress. So their moons and Venus trine each other, and this is lovely. Moons and Venus are two planets that you really want to look at if you're trying to get a sense of what a relationship could be like or like why there's a block. So his Cancer moon, or her, yeah, is a water sign. It pairs well with her water Pisces moon. When two planets are in the same element, they trine each other, and this is like an aspect of familiarity, of ease. It's just really easy to be with each other. Complacency is the problem with this, but they have enough other things in their chart that doesn't make me think that complacency was what ended it all. Her Venus in Cancer trines his Venus in Scorpio, so this is very wet, also sopping wet. They're, very romantic, very much like all over. I'm not being like gross. I
I
don't mean
don't
like
like when you
fluid,
say sopping wet. I don't
but
know.
it is. I mean, he's just a guy who his mouth is always wet. Like his
I
like
can't.
he was the kid who's like always had like spittle over his face. I know it, but
Wait, what?
don't you think? Did you ever have a kid in grade school who's like, I don't know, it's very spitty? But anyway, okay, so both Cancer and Scorpio Venus can be possessive at worst, with maybe Barry having the potential to be more cagey. But generally, this is a very like pleasant and cozy aspect. They're very excited to put each other on their feeds. They can't wait to go on like the red carpet, maybe wearing each other's clothes. And then Barry's sun is conjunct Sabrina's natal Mars and Libra. So she's empowered and he's enamored. Boundaries could be an issue with this, especially since her Mars is retrograde and especially in Libra. But I don't know how it ended. So Barry's Juno is conjunct her natal ascendant and Venus. And the ascendant is Sabrina. So that speaks to her in this chart. And Venus is like, again, it's like her permanent Bart Simpson costume. Venus is also, of course, the planet of love and attraction. And it's like she's just magnetic in general. And then Juno is the asteroid of marriage. So this makes him even more attracted to her and make him think like, okay, this is the girl of my dreams. I will leave my baby mama and my child in Ireland so I can go to Hollywood and like hang out with this hot girl for a while until I sabotage it because that's what his chart tells me he does. Also, why he's such a good actor. And then his moon and Mars are in Cancer in her first house, which the moon's sensitivity and presence. So he's always like really wants to be present with her. And Mars's pursuit and sex. He's just like very attracted to her. She's like his dream girl, I'm sure. Or, what he thinks of as his dream girl. And then this is where things get spicy. Their malefics are square each other. So Barry's Saturn is in Aquarius and it squares Sabrina's natal Saturn in Taurus. It also squares her Mercury in Taurus. And then his Mercury in Scorpio is opposite her Mercury Saturn conjunction in Taurus. So this is like a squares to make things really tense. It's sort of like when you don't wanna give up just because you wanna win instead of, like, because it's getting to a point where, like, for some reason, there's so much tension that it's more important to win than it is to, like, get to the bottom of whatever you're talking about. And in fixed signs too, this will be intense. Like, Taurus doesn't wanna be forced to do anything they don't wanna do, and Aquarius loves to be like, but open your mind," and it's just sort of it could get a mess. And then his Pluto is in Scorpio, tightly opposite her natal sun. So generally, Pluto in synastry is like important when it's like this close. So it's like 1 degree away. So this can be him feeling either jealous or like maybe wanting to control her celebrity in some way, or being like, I wish you could hang out with me more because like you're so famous now, you know? Like I just feel like it's neediness or it's sort of like pressure in some way. It's just sort of like a power game that like maybe is so subtle, but is definitely being played. But his Venus in Scorpio is conjunct her natal vertex, and the vertex is a point in the chart that has to do with the ecliptic. It's astronomical, but there's been a lot of studies with it that are really cool that maybe I'll talk about someday. What we use them now as is sort of like it's sort of like a node wherein when your vertex is activated either in synastry or by transit, by like a significant transit, this is like something or someone who's really going to change your life. And so in the 5th house too, that's like very romantic. It's Scorpio. So it did seem like they were very not like owned each other, but they seemed very much like this is my guy, that's my gal. I don't know. And then I just think all of it seems like very intense, especially on his end.
Yeah, there's something about the way he just, like, takes photos of himself. Like, I don't know, like, someone who poses this much, like, really freaks me out, or I should say it's not for me.
He has an amazing face. Like it's just the command that his face can do so many things. It can make you feel so many ways.
Yes. He has such a strange face, but he can work it in so many different ways.
Well, he
Yeah.
definitely looks, maybe it's just because he's wearing a top hat, but he definitely looks like
What?
a rich aristocrat from, like, the 1300s or something.
Yes, he does. And he's so tiny.
Or when
Not
his dick was
really.
flopping around in Saltburn, he's very confident.
That's true.
That is
But
true.
yeah, he definitely does seem like a very intense person. So yeah, maybe it's for the best.
Yeah. So, Sabrina's career, though she has, had quite a bit of fame and is, I would say, pretty beloved, it is not without controversy. Sabrina just released her single Man Child, and it debuted at #1 on the Hot 100, marking her first debut and second #1 song on the chart. And she also announced her seventh studio album, Man's Best Friend.
And the cover art of Man's Best Friend is what was the controversial thing because it has Sabrina on her hands and knees with an out of frame man grabbing her hair while she like paws at his leg. And
I
this
thought it
was
was
like
cool.
definitely divisive to both critics and fans.
Yeah, some found it degrading to women, while others found it provocative and like satirical. Other people defended it as a commentary on societal norms regarding female sexuality, which is like a big theme in Sabrina's music. But regardless of what people thought, the album debuted atop the US Billboard 200.
So, Dana, what was going on when Man's Best Friend debuted?
Man's Best Friend came out on August 29th, 2025. And on this day, the sun was in Virgo, the moon was in Scorpio. We're in on the heels of eclipse season. Sabrina started a third house of Virgo Mercury year on May 10th, 2025 at her solar return. And her natal Mercury is in her 11th house in Taurus, and it's conjunct Saturn. So if your Time Lord in your natal chart is conjunct Saturn, you can expect to meet some resistance that year, but also that you're maybe building something lasting. What you're saying will have an impact, even if not everyone likes it. And her solar return Mercury also was in Taurus, but it was in her solar return 8th house. So the 8th house is where we don't have control. So people want to either have a say in what we do or, control how we do things. And also the 8th house has so much to do with taboo themes. And like this album cover was very obviously and purposely like taboo. Also, the sun transiting your perfected sign, Everton House, like will be a major season every year for you. So right now with the sun transiting Virgo in her third house, it's highlighting like all the action of the year for her. And it's also coinciding with eclipses. So that's going to be a big deal too. In her solar return chart in 2014, when she first got on Boy Meets World or Girl Meets World, the North Node was in her activated sign in Libra. And so that was making her a rising star. It was increasing everything she, had to do, maybe making she had to move. She probably had to make a lot of maybe sacrifices or just had to make compromises, which is very Libra. But now that it's a South Node and it's in Virgo, it's more divisive. It's conjunct her IC, so she's maybe getting to the root of herself a little bit more. The North Node is conjunct her midheaven, so this is still going to skyrocket her to fame. On September 7th, a week after the album was released, there was an eclipse exactly conjunct her natal midheaven, and so this is just really, again, sort of cascading how famous she is and will continue to be for the foreseeable future. Also, Jupiter, again, is transiting her natal lot of fame in Cancer. So she is, even if she's making some people pissed off, that's how you get famous these days, I'm told. And with Jupiter there in her first house, she's also she's still in command and in control, even if other people want to talk about, how she does things and whether or not she should be doing them.
Yeah, I also think too it's kind of interesting since Virgo is so virginal, everyone's talking about
Yes.
whether
Wow.
or not what she's doing is too sexy.
Yes, totally.
For a 26-year-old woman. If you can't
Right,
be
it's
sexy when you're 26, who is it for?
I know. I feel like nobody says that about, Tate McRae when she's, naked dancing on the sand in what's it called? The VMAs.
I didn't see that,
Oh
but
yeah. I
Tate
didn't know.
McRae
I barely know who that is,
I
to be
know.
I think
honest.
she's
very
people
sexy.
people look over or, overlook her because she's from, Calgary or something. But I guess
She's Canadian.
I heard literally within the past, 10 days that she wasn't on Dance Moms, and most of the competitions that Maddie Ziegler lost were to Tate McRae. Which,
Oh,
again,
You're
really?
also to me, she
kidding.
sounds like a meme more than a real person. I know.
Yeah, I
she's,
feel
a
like
very
She's
famous,
a
my
really good
talented person.
dancer.
Yeah, for sure. I've
That's
seen
so
clips.
funny.
Oh,
Wow,
yeah,
I
I
didn't know
know
that.
my almost only exposure to her name has been on TikTok to watch, the dance they were doing in the sand because
Yeah.
everyone's been saying, "She killed the VMAs," this is dance
She killed
or
them.
whatever.
God, people hate her so mean to women. Tate McRae, though, does
No,
sound like a name
killed
that,
it, yeah.
oh,
Hell
oh,
yeah.
Yeah,
I know. I'm
God,
just so
yeah.
old. Never mind.
You're
Sorry.
too old for this.
I'm too old.
Excuse
But
Dana.
I do think that Tate McRae sounds like a name that would be a Mary-Kate and Ashley movie, when they would have a new
Yes.
name every time.
Yeah.
Well, it
Yes.
sounds like she's not a country singer, right?
I don't think so, but it does
'Cause
sound like a country singer.
yeah.
Like a male
think she's a
country
pop star.
singer. No, she's a pop star for sure.
Pop star.
But yeah, it's interesting. I just feel like that when people have those Virgo placements, their sexuality is such a bigger topic than it is with other people.
Yeah,
That is such a good
for
point.
sure.
Okay.
So, besides being hated on relentlessly for this album art, what's been going on with Sabrina recently? Well, in August 2025, she performed as the headlining act at Lollapalooza. And she also just announced that she would be on a track on Taylor Swift's new album, Life of a Showgirl.
I can't wait. That one's going to be good.
I know I'm ready. I am.
When I saw, you see the photos of her and Taylor Swift on stage next to each other, it's actually hilarious. Taylor Swift looks like a giant. And she's
She-
5'8" or something?
Yeah, she's
she's 6
so
feet tall.
compared to.
No, she's not.
She is 6
Is
feet
Taylor Swift
tall.
6 feet tall?
Yes, I stood next to her and
No,
she's
I
6
don't-
feet tall.
No, she's
No.
5'10". So I guess
Yeah.
when she
She's
wears
definitely 6
heels,
feet tall
she's
then.
6
Have you seen her next to Travis? I was like, how? I thought that maybe he was shorter than he is because she looks so tall. Whatever. I think she's 6
No.
feet. You guys say 5'10". It's a 2 inches, and I'll never know the answer. So I don't really
But
get
I
it.
think
This
she's
is just me being a
wearing,
square about it.
heels, though.
She's always
So
wearing
she probably
heels.
is very tall.
Anyway,
But yeah, Sabrina
they look
Carpenter is so
hilarious.
short. So
Next
it
to each
is.
I do like that the
Very
tallest pop
jarring.
star and the shortest pop star are both doing a very talented run, together.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yes.
All right. So Dana, give us your predictions for Sabrina Carpenter.
Well, I think her sun is going to keep rising, but she is going to also, I don't know, I think she's going to need
Her
to rest.
sun
I
is
think
going to keep rising, or her star?
her star, her star is going to keep rising.
Like her sun? What does that mean?
No, not her sun, just her star. But so we start the year off, she's in a Jupiter square. Again, square aspects are tense. They bring tension, they bring friction. But Jupiter, any aspect from Jupiter is considered to be benevolent, although there's always a potential with excess for the square. For her, maybe just going hard in the paint, being too, I don't know, Aries about it. But it's with Jupiter in her first house squaring Jupiter in her 10th house. She's getting a lot of exposure. And these transits are exact on September 17th, 2025, January 6th, 2026. So maybe she'll rush the capital for us, and May 12th, 2026. And then on October 31st, 2025, Halloween, her progressed Mercury enters Cancer and her first house. This is exciting. This, again, I feel this will just be her being even more embodied. Like having Mercury transit her, or Mercury, her progressed Mercury in Gemini, which is like very strong and cool in the 12th house. I feel like she probably had to like get really savvy and learn how to do things. Maybe not even always for like, it doesn't seem like she does things for the fame. Also, I mean, like Ryan, Ryan has told me that I'm pretty naive about famous people, so maybe she does, but I like the way she does it, if that's true. And when her progressed Mercury enters Cancer, she'll be that much more savvy, that much more in control, and that'll be exciting. It'll also be interesting because Mercury is her time lord, so this brings another interesting element to it, maybe giving her, I don't know, the last word, some sort of like maybe she'll be just like more outspoken. Who knows? Maybe she'll give us her real time, maybe we'll know her time for sure, her birth time. Then, a few days later, on November 9th, Mercury stations retrograde in Sagittarius conjunct her natal Lilith, and it stations direct on November 29th opposite her natal Sun. So this I'm just keeping in mind because it'll be a good time to see how this transit might function since people are so hard on her, and that's sort of what Lilith is about, being like, the woman who does things, who gets like, what's it called? Expelled from the Garden of Eden. I'm trying to see in real time what it's like for a celebrity to have that happen to her, especially one who's already sort of, fits the bill. Saturn conjunct her moon perfects again on November 16th, 2025. The first time it happened was April 7th, and then the final and third time will be December 9th. So she's in Saturn conjunct her moon. Saturn stations direct on her moon. Saturn will be on her at the same degree as her moon for like the rest of the year once we get to late October, which is tough.
What does that mean?
It could be that she really needs to like pull back and rest. I don't know if she has a tour going on or what, but she might just be like laying a little low because it might be like over.
It's good.
Right. It just might be too much. People could also maybe, I don't know, maybe like the church will, I guess she's already had a run in with the church, right? Did she have that like controversy where Eric Adams like had her film in a cathedral?
What?
She like filmed a somewhat controversial music video in a literal Catholic church in New York City. So I guess, yeah, she already has had her Saturn ninth house controversy. That's so funny. I forgot about that.
I didn't even know that.
So yeah, so that's not in the future, but that's in the past. And now you know why that happened. So yeah, so Saturn on her moon, this will be, I don't know, a tough end of the year for her. Also, her moon is her time lord. So I really do think, I'm sure this message will get to her. Sabrina, please, when you feel tired, go to sleep. If you feel like someone is, something's off, just listen to your body. Please, honey. And then the North Node's conjunct her natal midheaven on November 21st, 2025. So that's the exact conjunction, but like it's lingering there for this whole year. So her star just keeps rising. She keeps her star. And she's just going to keep getting like bigger, more opportunities. It will be up to her to parse them out. Some of them will be just fated and destined. And it'll be interesting to see because I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like she has things on the horizon that are going to be cool and interesting. And her progressed moon is conjunct her natal midheaven on December 10th, 2025. So even though this end of the year maybe this end of the year is her really realizing how much she can put her body through, right? Maybe she is pushing it to the limit with Saturn on her moon, and then Saturn will call her back in. And then her progressed lunar return will be exact next year on September 9th, 2026. This will be maybe something more personal, but it will definitely be a huge time for her, especially again, because her moon is her time lord. Like she is the moon. If she's playing a game of all the planets, her game piece is the moon. But then her progressed moon enters Aries and her 10th house on January 13th, 2026. And I think this will be even more exciting. She'll be even maybe more, I don't know, bratty with, her natal Jupiter there. People also will like her even more. She's, I think, probably going to put out, I don't know, I think she might be putting out something with Jupiter ruling her 6th and her 9th. It seems like it could be something surprising, maybe something sort of like international, or maybe a charity. Maybe she does like charity work. It could just be like that. Something like she does a really good deed. Her progressed ascendant enters Leo on March 22nd. So this is her really, again, even just stepping more into becoming a celebrity. Leo's a sign of the star. And now she's going to be in her second house. So she's going to have to be learning to become secure with celebrity, but also like, I don't know, I'm sure she's a money planner. She's going to make so much money. And her progressed Mercury is conjunct her natal Venus in Cancer on June 29th, 2027. So this will be beautiful. I can't wait to hear what single she releases this day, or like what, twisted thing she says. And then her progressed Mercury is conjunct her natal ascendant on October 6th, 2029. So I'm not going to predict, but just put that down. Write it in your calendar. Maybe we'll see what happens to her around that time, because she just has so much coming up. And I mean, if I had to summarize like what really, I mean, there's just so much came together for her, but like most recently, Neptune was on her moon at the same time that Uranus was on her sun. And as an eclipse was in her 10th house, like it's just so, she's like made for this. And she's cool. I'm a huge fan and I know nothing about her.
I'm a huge fan.
And I know nothing. Well, you know a lot more now, don't you, Dana?
I feel
think
like
so,
this
yeah.
isn't the first time that you like someone
Yeah, no, this happens. Jojo
that like
Siwa.
you had.
I love Jojo Siwa and I don't know why.
Oh, God. All right. Well,
Jojo
that's it
Siwa.
for Sabrina Carpenter. We will see if she indeed becomes more bratty, like Dana said. But bratty in a good way. And
In a
with
good
that,
way.
I'm Elise.
I'm Dana.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is Allegedly Astrology.